Believe me, it takes time, work, and a generous dose of behind-the-scenes negotiations to acquire the levels of wealth and power that certain people enjoy. If you're lucky, you'll be born into a family that already has a lot of money, power, and influence. Over the years, these families have managed to amass huge amounts of money, power, and influence, which they've used to get themselves into some very important and useful positions in society. These are some of the most powerful families in the world. They're so powerful that they pretty much won the economic game and have done a little bit to shape society to their wants. Family of Rothschild. If you know anything about conspiracy theories, you've probably heard something about the Rothschilds. I mean, if the first page of Google is to be believed, the Rothschilds have done everything from managing every banking system in the globe to even controlling the weather, with an astounding total net worth of $400 billion. Who are the Rothschilds, really? Are they simply some really wealthy people? No, the Rothschilds are a multinational banking and finance dynasty of German heritage. They rose to international prominence in the early 18th century and have maintained their position ever since. And they set up businesses all over Europe and were even made nobles by the Austrian government. So, yes, they're very wealthy. But you probably already knew that the Rothschild family's rise to power began with Meyer Rothschild, whose talent for finance made him a well-known figure in the world of banking, and he put his 5 sons in the financial capitals of Europe. They were able to respond to the Industrial Revolution during a time when Europe's economy was growing. This helped them become central in the oil trade. The Rothschilds were so powerful that they were able to lend money to entire countries. They were international financiers. In 1825, they lent billions of dollars to whole governments and gave the Bank of England too much coin to avoid a market liquidity crisis. They also gave loans to France after it was defeated by Prussia. They gave the British government a £4 million loan after only being asked just a few hours before. They were just rolling in money. Now, the family has taken a more low-key strategy to being a financial powerhouse, spending their money by giving a lot to charity. The Rothschild family is definitely very powerful, influential, and mysterious. They don't show off their wealth, especially after their surrealist party in the 1970s, which will horrify my dreams forever. It's up to the conspiracy theorists to decide if they were behind JFK's death or if they're actually fighting global warming. The Windsor family is probably one of the most well-known and powerful royal families in the world. They have family trees all over Europe, and their influence literally goes around the whole world. When you realize how rich Prince William and Kate Middleton's 3 children are, you may be inspired to find your own Windsor heir to marry. George, Charlotte, and Louis are not only living in the lap of luxury, but they're also making a lot of money. George is already worth $2.8 billion, and his sister Charlotte is worth $4.3 billion. It's hard to believe that the Windsors are at the top of a country with a GDP of $2.7 trillion, and their influence extends to every continent on Earth, including Antarctica. Some of these nations include the South Pacific island of Tanna, where the Duke of Edinburgh was revered as a real deity, as well as Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales, England, and Canada, where the $20 bill includes a picture of Queen Elizabeth II. This may seem odd, but considering that the British monarchy claims legal title to 1/6 of the world's landmass, it's only natural that her image should be displayed on currency from time to time. Queen Elizabeth II, who ruled the UK for 70 years, died at Balmoral at the age of 96. She was the monarch who ruled the country the longest. Since the Queen was recognised as the head of state in 16 countries, she was also the world's largest landowner. The Commonwealth realm includes some of the world's wealthiest countries, including Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, giving the Windsors an estimated worth of $25 trillion. People have real tattoos of the royal family on them. I'm talking about permanent tattoos of Queen Elizabeth on their bodies. You can only hope that you were that famous. Even though the Windsors are presiding over a constitutional monarchy at the moment, their power and influence remain unabated. The Windsors certainly have the financial ability, as seen by their many lavish properties, including multiple castles, houses, and estates, the vast majority of which were acquired at no cost. In addition, the British royal family has one of the world's largest art collections, which includes approximately 70,000 works of art, including 41,000 paintings, 15,000 drawings, and 150,000 old master prints. They have old photos, tapestries, and the crown jewels, which are worth $4 billion. You can find almost any kind of art in this selection. Some of the majestic royal holdings in Windsor include Kensington Palace, which is worth an estimated $630 million, and Buckingham Palace, which is worth an estimated $4.9 billion. One of the most valuable and well-known buildings, and they simply live in it. Koch Family. What can you get when you combine oil money with time and a dose of generational wealth? You get the Koch family, a dynasty of oil billionaires who have influenced the United States economic and political landscapes and are currently worth an estimated $100 billion. The Koch family rose to prominence through a corporation with a power name, the Wood River Oil and Refining Company. The company was renamed Koch Industries in honor of Fred Koch, one of its founding members. It was run by his two sons, David and Charles Koch, who were called the Koch brothers, which led to millions and millions of Coca-Cola jokes until David Koch died in 2018 at age 79. If you want to know why the Koch family is here, consider that the Koch Industries is the 6th largest company in the world and the 2nd largest privately held company in the United States. But Koch Industries isn't just wealthy, they're also very productive. They've bought up so many businesses and established so many affiliates that they can, in a sense, do everything now. I'm not even exaggerating when I say that these acquisitions were incredibly astute as well. For example, the purchase of Georgia Pacific for $22.5 billion is one of their more notable deals. One of the biggest makers and sellers of paper in the world, they make and sell a wide range of household goods under names like Brawny, Angelsoft, and Vanity Fair. They also invested $7.5 billion to buy Molex, a maker of electronic parts. They're also involved with the United States National Guard too. So, that's the paper, electric, and security front. The Koch family is not only extremely wealthy, but they also spend a small but noticeable portion of their money making sure the political landscape of the country is exactly where they want it to be before any disaster occurs. It seems that you don't have to be a prince or have any political office to get a few lawmakers to speak your language. If the Koch family is enthusiastic about anything, it's real estate. They've already spent a lot of money on a 63-story, 4,000-room hotel and casino on the Las Vegas Strip, but that's just the beginning of their hotel and hospitality asset acquisition plans. I believe they're simply attempting to acquire as many different types of businesses as possible. The Walton family. This is a family that's so wealthy that their combined net worth is greater than the gross domestic product of several countries. No one seems to mention them. You know what a Walmart is. I know what a Walmart is. But did you realize that there are over 10,000 Walmart stores in 24 countries, employing nearly 2.2 million people? Well, Sam Walton started Walmart back in 1962. After several years of steady growth, it surpassed $540 billion in annual sales, making the Walton family the wealthiest in the United States. If a Walmart opens in a small town, it'll wipe out around half of the town's retail commerce within a few years, bringing the town's economy crashing down around it. Naturally, Walmart's client size is ridiculously large due to its low prices and huge choice of products. It serves almost 220 million consumers every week. You can't achieve over $100 billion until you have multiple investment projects, so the Walton family has had multiple profitable ventures. One of these ideas was called Sam's Club, a chain of warehouse clubs that sold groceries and other goods. It had 600 warehouses and made as much as $57 billion in profits, and the fact that they've spent $1 billion on education and the environment through their charity foundation is a signal in their favor. The Waltons have also used their wealth to get involved in politics. The Waltons' political views aren't all the same, but different heirs to the Walmart throne have given large amounts of money to varying political sides to try to change policies. It's similar to a really boring episode of The West Wing. Family of Morgan. This family first became known around the world in the late 1800s, when perhaps the most famous Morgan was born. His name was John Pierpont Morgan. That man was born to be a banker and would end up following in his father's legacy to become one of the most well-known bankers in the world. After all, he succeeded to build J.P. Morgan & Company, one of the most powerful financial firms in the U.S. J.P. Morgan didn't build the first company worth $1 billion just by doing banking. In the late 1890s, he began to focus on the steel sector, and he formed an alliance with the head of Carnegie Steel and eventually bought the company for $480 million. You had to spend money to create money. That amount of money was larger than the total federal budget of the United States. In 1901, J.P. Morgan consolidated his steel enterprises to become U.S. Steel, a $1.4 billion enterprise that propelled him to the top of not only the banking industry, but also the railroad industry. In addition, for good measure, he owned 60% of the steel sector as well. This is in addition to the fact that he sat on the board of directors for 48 separate firms. Because of this, the Morgan family enjoyed tremendous political and economic influence all over the world. And J.P. Morgan was a member of several elite social clubs. He even established his own club, which he named the Metropolitan Club, and invited influential people to join it, including fellow billionaire Cornelius Vanderbilt Morgan, who was able to amass such riches and influence. He was the absolute definition of a ruthless businessman. He intimidated, outcompeted, or outright bought out any competitors. After J.P. Morgan died in 1913, he left behind what would eventually become the biggest bank in the United States, with worth totaling $3.7 trillion. Because of the many acquisitions it has made throughout the course of its history, J.P. Morgan is now officially the largest bank in the world measured by market capitalization. What else could you possibly anticipate from a family that is powerful enough to control the gold supply in the United States and arrange a cabal of bankers to manage the economy of an entire nation? Tell us what you think. Which of these families do you believe to be the most influential?